computer. Okay, I started recording. Okay, so the scenario is this is a college student who reports lots of negative self-talk and thoughts about herself in regards to her self-esteem and in regards to her schoolwork. She thinks things along the lines of that she's not good enough and she'll never be good enough, and her stressors are college and her schoolwork. The intervention is going to be CBT, and which is and we're going to be using identifying and modifying negative thoughts. Fancy. Hi, Cameron. Thank you so much for coming in today. Before we start, I just wanted to go over our informed consent policy and remind you that everything we say in here stays between us unless you are a danger to yourself or others. Do you understand? And are you okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. So, how have you been doing? How's it been going since I last saw you?
I'm doing okay, I guess. It's been a little bit of a tougher week than normal, I'd say.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Why it's been more difficult?
Sure, I can do that. Well, like I mentioned last week, school's just been really stressful. I feel like I have to be perfect all the time. And then I just stress myself so bad about like assignments. And I just sometimes I just shut down because of it. It's just like it's been so bad.
Okay, so do you think it's been more intense this week?
Yeah, I would say it's been a lot more intense this week.
Okay, so it seems like school is pretty important to you. When you start to feel stressed out about your assignments or quizzes and tests, how does your stress come out? What happens?
I think that mostly when I get really worked up, I struggle to sleep, or like
Mm-hmm.
so I sleep too much or just don't sleep at all. And
Mm-hmm.
and then I kind of tend to overeat a lot. I notice that, and I just start to think like really bad things about myself and my ability to reach my goals.
That must be really difficult for you. It sounds like, school can be a really big stressor. And I want you to know that it's okay that you feel like this. And learning effective coping skills here through therapy will be the key to reducing some of the stress symptoms that you're experiencing.
Thank you. You saying that it's normal kind of made me feel a little bit more normal about being stressed out. I sometimes I can feel like I'm the only one that's kind of going through it.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Do you think you could tell me a little bit more about the negative thoughts about yourself and like when you feel stressed, like what do those look like?
Mm. Well, when I'm stressed, I think that the biggest thing that I think about is that I'm just not good enough, like at anything in general.
Okay. And that's understandable. That's a pretty common one that I hear often. But when does this typically occur? Is there a certain situation, circumstance?
I would say it's mostly when I'm trying to work on a huge paper or like a big project. I know with like midterms and finals, that's really bad.
Okay. Would you say that you feel like you have to do really good with your schoolwork in order to feel good about yourself?
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like if I don't do well, I'm a failure.
Okay. Would it be okay if I taught you a skill that you can use to challenge some of these negative thoughts?
Yes, please. I would like that.
Okay, awesome. So before we start, I want to just do a little bit of psychoeducation with you and talk to you about the cognitive triangle. So it's a theory that we use for cognitive behavioral therapy, where it's shown that our thoughts can influence how we feel and how we behave, and like all of those things are intertwined. So, like your negative thoughts that you're having about yourself can cause you to struggle with managing your feelings and like how you act and how you behave like during those negative thoughts. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, so basically like negative thoughts can cause me to feel more stressed and anxious, like
Yes.
physically. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly right. So this first technique that I'm going to go over with you is part of CBT and it's called thought recording.
Okay, how do I do that?
So this is going to involve some journaling. Are you going to be okay with doing that?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy journaling. So,
Good. Okay. So with this technique, you're going to start with three columns. So you're going to take a piece of paper and then do three columns. And in the first one, you're going to write down the event that took place. So what happened directly before you had that negative thought about yourself. And in the second, you're going to write down the thought that you had. So, like for the example you gave earlier, you would write down, like, I'm not good enough. And in the third, you're going to write down the emotion that you felt. And this is going to help draw your attention to your thoughts more so that you're more aware of your thoughts when they're happening. And the big part of this is just bringing your awareness to your negative thoughts and just seeing them, because sometimes we think them and we don't really pay attention to them, they just occur. But this will bring your attention to them and you can start challenging them once you start to notice them.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I can do that.
Okay. So the second part of the journaling activity is called examining the evidence.
Okay, how would I do that?
So after that, after we do the first part, we're going to add 3 more columns. The
Mhm.
first is going to be evidence for your automatic thought. The second is going to be evidence against your automatic thought. And then the last part is going to be an alternative thought.
Okay, so all together there should be 6 columns.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will make sure that I have a template. I have a template made up for you, and I
Mhm.
can give that to you before you leave today so that you can start, doing this. Do you have any questions at all about any of it?
Yeah, I think you said alternative thought for that last column. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes. So an alternative thought is a thought that will replace your negative thought. So, like from your example earlier, instead of saying that you're not good enough, you can change it to I am enough. And kind of, you can either say that, like, use a positive affirmation or an I statement, or you can just change it up to however you feel like. But just basically turning your negative thought and replacing it with a positive thought that's like in relation to what the negative thought was about.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is going to be a great journal activity that you can do anytime, every day, whenever you start to have negative thoughts. And you can even like do this on your phone. There's some apps and stuff that I can tell you about as well.
Mm.
But most of the time, a lot of people just like to write it down in a journal. But if you want to use your phone, you're more than welcome to use that. I'll give you those apps before we leave today. Um, and next week, do you think that you could bring your journal in so that we can go over your thoughts and start to process those?
Yeah, I definitely think that we can do that.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in and feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions, and I'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.